What's up, YouTube? Today we are reacting to Katt Williams talk about NBA YoungBoy being cloned on Epstein's Island. It's a lot going on in this title. I don't know what's about to happen in this video, but we're just gonna listen to what the man has to say, and we're gonna give our, finey dindy, little bit of finey opinion. All right. So let's get straight into this video. If you haven't watched the last video, make sure you go and watch that. The next video is still coming, guys. So stay tuned for that. But let's get it.
We know that there's actual cloning going on. The real question is cloning going on? Yeah, it is.
There is one man in Hollywood, in the entire entertainment industry, who has never been wrong. Not once. Not about Diddy, not about the gatekeepers, not about Harvey, not about any of it. And that man is Katt Williams. While everybody else was laughing, Katt was telling the truth. While comedians were getting blackballed and rappers were falling in line, Katt Williams stood on a stage, looked the world dead in the eye, and said what nobody else had the courage to say.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
I watched this interview, and they definitely silenced bro. No cap. These interviews after this was not the same.
The truth is the light.
And now he's talking about NBA YoungBoy, and what he's saying is going to change everything you think you know. Before we get into this, I need y'all to do me a favor. Like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because this is the kind of content that gets taken down. I'm not joking. We've already had to re-upload this twice. They don't want you to see this, so share it before it's gone. Now let's get into it. January 2024, Katt Williams sits down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay, and what followed was the most watched interview in podcast history. Over 80 million views. The internet was on fire for weeks. But here's what most people missed. Everybody was focused on the Cedric the Entertainer jokes, the Steve Harvey stuff, the Kevin Hart bars. That was the surface layer, the entertainment. But underneath all of that, Katt was dropping coordinates. At one point in that interview, Katt says, and I want you to listen to this carefully, he says, "Everything I've ever said has been proven true. Everything. Give it time." Shannon laughed. The audience laughed. But Katt didn't laugh. He just sat there with that look. Y'all know the look. The one where his eyes go still and you realize this man is not joking. And then, about 40 minutes in, Katt makes a reference that flew completely over everybody's heads. He talks about young artists being taken to places they shouldn't be, and how by the time they come back, they're different people. Shannon tried to pivot. Katt let him. But the seed was planted. He wasn't talking about mentorship. He wasn't talking about the studio. He was talking about something else entirely.
I don't want no parts. I done seen what these things can do to people. Anything that take over your free will is the devil itself.
Have you ever thought about what your life would have been had you stayed in Dayton, Ohio?
No.
To understand what Katt is alleging, you need to understand the NBA YoungBoy timeline. And I mean really understand.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I watched a lot of podcasts about ex warlocks and stuff like that, ex witches. And basically a lot of them talk about from a young age, these kids would be taken, like even the kids that are sex trafficked and stuff like that, they'll be taken, and in order for them to damage them as much as possible, they would go and take them places and do stuff with them, right? I'm not gonna say that type of stuff on YouTube. I don't want to get censored or nothing like that. But they'll do stuff to them to take pieces of them. So like when they do try to go out and live their normal life, they're always still bound by some type of traumatic event that had happened to them, if that makes sense, if y'all understand what I'm saying. So that actually happened to some of the people that I was watching a podcast to. So they were victims of sex trafficking and of these things. They say knowingly, right? People would say knowingly, but it's unknowingly. It's a child, right?
Because when you lay it all out, it doesn't add up. NBA YoungBoy, born Kentrell Deshaun Gaulden, was arrested for the first time at 16. By 17, he had a rap career. By 18, he was one of the most streamed artists on the planet. By 19, he'd been arrested multiple times, had multiple children, and was on house arrest. And here's the part that nobody talks about. Between 2019 and 2021, YoungBoy was in and out of custody multiple
YoungBoy. The rapper was arrested around 4:30 Tuesday morning on multiple drug charges. The rapper was one of 16 arrested at the scene.
3 of them, I believe, were convicted felons. So they, if they didn't have weapons in their...
Bro, you got discernment, bro. Hold on. Look at all of their eyes, bro. Bro, you could just see the evil in it, bro.
convicted felon. So they, if they didn't have weapons in their possession, they were around weapons.
According to BRPD, they all attempted to run upon their arrival. The alleged suspicious behavior led police to search cars at the scene. They confiscated 14 guns, $79,000 in cash and drugs. Golden was released on $75,000 bond Tuesday afternoon.
The rapper's attorney argues his client never had possession of the weapons or drugs because he doesn't own any of the cars on the scene. The attorney released a statement saying, in part, his client is innocent of all charges he was booked on last night and looks forward to defending himself.
There are gaps in the timeline, weeks, sometimes months, where nobody saw him. No social media, no music drops, nothing. And then he'd reappear, and the music would be different. The voice would be slightly different. The face, look at the photos, I'm putting them side by side right now. The face would be subtly different. Now, most people explain this away with weight changes and aging. He's young, he's growing, whatever. But Katt Williams, in a separate interview that got way less attention, a radio interview in Atlanta in late 2024, said something that made my blood go cold. He said, that boy got taken somewhere, and the boy that came back, he works real hard, maybe too hard, like he's making up for lost time, or like he's on a schedule. Let that word sit in your mind. Now here's where this gets dark, and I need to be careful with how I say this because, like I said, this video has already been taken down twice. When Jeffrey Epstein's world came crashing down, the public fixated on the famous names, the politicians, the billionaires, the Hollywood types, but there was an entire layer of that operation that nobody talked about, the scientific layer. Multiple whistleblowers, and I'm talking people who worked on that island, have alleged that there were facilities on the island and on surrounding properties that were not for entertainment. They were laboratories. Now, the mainstream media buried these claims immediately, called them conspiracy theories, moved on. But Katt Williams didn't move on. In a 2024 comedy special, and I use that word loosely because this man was not being funny when he said it, Katt goes on a 5-minute tangent about islands where they don't just take your dignity, they take your identity. The audience laughed nervously. Katt just stared into the camera, dead eyes, no punchline. And then he said, why do you think certain young rappers go missing for a little while and come back with a whole new personality? You think that's just growth? That ain't growth, that's replacement. The crowd went quiet. Now,
this is literally what I was talking about, y'all. This is the part of the demonic realm and what they do. They take the children and they'll do stuff to them to pervert their identity. Basically, like, it's harder to find out who you are when you have so much trauma. You know what I mean? There's so much trauma going on around you that you don't even know what, who you really are. You start to find yourself in this person and this person and this and this and this. You start gravitating to certain things. So this is why it's so important. I'm going to say this on here right now. It's so important that young men, young women, old men, old women, whatever, y'all go to therapy and get healing. If you have to go to therapy, there's nothing wrong with therapy. Go to therapy. Get the resources that you need. Yes, God is the healer and, perfecter of our faith and stuff like that. But at the same time, we still have trauma that we have to deal with. Don't bury your trauma, heal. So this is a big part of it because it's an identity issue. So y'all know we're going to drop nuggets in here every now and then. Even though we cool with the conspiracy stuff and all that stuff, but we're still gonna drop nuggets about, bettering ourselves. So
I'm not a sound engineer, but there are people on the internet who are, and what they found is troubling. Multiple audio analysts have compared NBA YoungBoy's vocal patterns from his early mixtapes, like 38 Baby and AI YoungBoy, to his more recent projects. And
I think that's kind of hard to do though, looking at it, because I know it's the argument he was younger, but he was definitely younger. So his voice gonna change.
Are measurable differences, not just in style or delivery, in the actual frequency of his voice, the resonance, the pitch patterns. Now, voices change over time, especially for someone who was a teenager when he started. I'll give you that. But what the analysts flagged was that the changes don't follow a natural progression. It's not a gradual shift, it's a jump, like someone flipped a switch between 2019 and 2021. Katt Williams addressed this directly. He said, and this is a direct paraphrase from a backstage interview that was filmed on someone's phone and leaked. He said, listen to the music. The old stuff has pain in it, real pain. The new stuff has data. It's technically perfect, but it's got no soul. That's how you know. No soul. Think about that. A clone, if such a thing were possible, would have the technical ability, the memories maybe, the skill set. But would it have the soul? Would it have the thing that made the original artist special? Katt doesn't think so. And honestly, when you listen back to back, it's hard to argue with him. Let's talk about the elephant in the room: the sheer volume of music. NBA YoungBoy has released more projects than almost any active artist in hip-hop. We're talking dozens of mixtapes, albums, and compilations in just a few years, while on house arrest, while fighting federal cases, while supposedly raising multiple children.
It seemed like, you know, people were saying, well, you only obligated to do a certain amount of albums, but you over-delivered, right? You gave him so many projects.
It brings some type of good feeling to put a tape together and just release it. I left Atlanta because I wanted to experience some more stuff.
I rest my case. Even though like subject matter to me, it sounds like the album focuses on a lot on love.
Like I see people talking about rage music and these sort of terms. And you also challenge the aesthetic, like people saying, well, was it face painting or doing your nail, painting your nails and doing these different sort of
They start painting nails?
What is it? What
you still feel that way? And according to Illuminate, in 2022, you're the third most streamed artist in the United States, right behind like Drake and Taylor Swift, man.
I just be having a point to prove, or just be having something to say.
You obviously know you've influenced.
I ain't gonna lie. This might be a unpopular take, but he low-key sound like how Michael was starting to sound. No cap. I don't know if it's just me, but he's starting to sound how Michael started to sound. I don't know what happened to Michael. You know, I'm just saying.
Influence so many other rappers.
Do you understand how insane that output is? Most artists with full teams, full studios, full creative freedom, they drop one album every 2 to 3 years. YoungBoy is dropping multiple projects per year, and they're not throwaways. These are full-length, produced, mixed, mastered, and released projects.
What I think about YoungBoy dropping like 5 albums a year, I think it's dumb, bro. I mean, I don't even know where to start with YoungBoy anymore. Like, I'm not a big fan of his music. Because if you drop that many tracks in a year, like of course if you're say some people maybe are talented like that, maybe Juice WRLD, I'd say, of just
only Juice WRLD
being able to come up with new flows and new types of songs on different beats, just being able to like freestyle on the spot, whole ass songs, they're not even punching in, just like freestyling for a whole hour. Y'all remember that freestyle that Juice WRLD did? But again, 5 projects, man, like it's just too much, man.
Katt Williams brought this up and said, one person cannot make that much music. It's not physically possible. So either there's a machine making it for him, or there's more than one of him making it. And here's what's wild. YoungBoy's fans have noticed it too. Go to any YoungBoy fan forum and you'll see people arguing about which version of YoungBoy is their favorite. They literally categorize his music into eras like they're talking about different artists. I like 2018 YoungBoy. Nah, 2020 YoungBoy is different. That's not the same YoungBoy. They're saying it themselves. They just don't realize what they're actually saying. But here's the question nobody's asking. If cloning is real, and I'm speaking hypothetically here, why YoungBoy? Of all the rappers in the world, why would they choose a
My take, right? I think it kind of ties into the movie. They kind of put it in our face a little bit. I don't know, I may react to that too, or make my own video on that. But it kind of goes into the movie. They clone Tyrone. Like, why do it to this rapper, right? When I could mass produce music that will keep certain people bound, why wouldn't I do that? Think of it from the perspective of the enemy, right? I'm not saying he's cloned. I don't know if he's cloned or not. This kind of seemed like just speculation and stuff like that, just random pulls from different sources. But if I could mass produce music in this person that is causing the young black man to be in shambles, right? Why would I not let him mass produce music? Why would I not help him push for those songs? I know he actually talked about something. I remember him saying in an interview or something like that, how he gets inspiration. They all kind of say the same thing, from like some higher power or something like that, right? For his music and stuff like that, right? That's obviously the enemy working through them, right? But he's pushing this agenda, and it's the same thing with hip hop. When you get into the roots of what hip hop was actually created for, this African spirituality and stuff like that, demonic stuff, right? Basically what they're doing is they're releasing curses over our lives. When you listen to this music, right? All of a sudden you listen to YoungBoy, and all of a sudden, you feel this urge to just, yeah. Come on, bro. You're literally feeding into what that music wants you to do. But it's not just a psychological thing, it's a spiritual thing. It's happening right in front of your eyes. So why clone him if he was actually cloned? Literally what they clone Tyrone said, it keeps that cycle. I got to keep that cycle. You know, like when the drug dealer died and they cloned Tyrone, they got the clone and brought him back because guess what? That neighborhood still has to be in shambles, right? So they would bring him back. And that's I mean, they did it sloppy, but that's the realness of it.
Teenager from Baton Rouge. Katt Williams has an answer for this, and it's chilling. He said, they don't pick the biggest artists. They pick the ones with the most influence over the youth, the ones the kids listen to, the ones the kids follow. Because if you can control who the youth follows, you can control the youth. Think about that. NBA YoungBoy's fan base is one of the youngest and most loyal in all of hip-hop. These are teenagers, kids, young people.
No, seriously, something is wrong with NBA YoungBoy fans. And if you're watching this here, NBA YoungBoy fans, something's wrong with you. Seriously.
People who are
You need help.
still forming their identities, their worldviews, their beliefs, and they worship this man.
Ain't no way these YoungBoy fans are real people.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of NBA YoungBoy, and to the republic on 4K trade.
These people look at him like.
And the craziest part is, right? I'm sorry, I gotta say this. These be the same people, right? That swear they hood, swear they gangster, but love another man more than they love their mamas, love their daddies, all this stuff, bro. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. I just can't make it
He's
up.
God. It's one thing to like somebody's music, but it's another thing when you're on your knees crying to him while he's on stage performing. You can't scroll down on your feed without seeing some YNs going crazy, looking like they're getting possessed at this YoungBoy concert.
If you wanted to send a message, push an agenda, or shift a culture in a specific direction, you wouldn't pick Jay-Z. Jay-Z's audience is grown. They're
Ask yourself this question: why does the music take you over? What about the music takes you over? Because it's hard? Nah, bro. Bro, his intent behind that music, that he's putting behind that music, is literally registering to your spirit.
in their ways. You'd pick the artist whose fans are still moldable, still impressionable. You'd pick YoungBoy. Katt said, it's not about the music. It was never about the music. It's about access. Access to the next generation. Now, I know some of y'all are sitting there saying, this is crazy. This is insane. There's no way. And I hear you. I do. But let me ask you something. Did you say the same thing when Katt Williams said Hollywood was full of predators? Did you say the same thing when he said the gatekeepers were controlling who gets famous and who doesn't? Did you say the same thing when he said Diddy was dangerous? Years before anyone else would say it publicly. Every single time. Katt Williams has told us the truth, and every single time we didn't believe him until it was too late.
Well, what it was that I was attempting to do was impossible. So before I do this interview, there is no Illuminati. It's just a joke. It's just something that crazy people talk about. There's no such thing as our side and God's side. None of that is even real. I gotta come and make it real. So that's why when I said that, nobody came out and went, that's not true, I'm on God's side. If part of the ritual is wearing a dress, then we should be able to look through entertainment and see all of these people being made to wear a dress.
He told us about the comedy club system, how certain comedians are manufactured and pushed while real talent is suppressed. People laughed, then the industry confirmed it. He told us about the parties. People laughed, then the indictments came. He told us about the contracts, how artists sign away their likeness and don't even read the fine print. People laughed. Then we found out what 360 deals actually look like. So when Katt Williams sits in front of a camera and tells you that NBA YoungBoy was taken to a facility, that something was done to him, and that the person making music today is not the same person who started, are you really going to laugh again? And now we get to the moment that started this whole video, the moment that broke the internet. For about 45 minutes before it was scrubbed, in late 2024, Katt Williams went on Instagram Live, unannounced, no promotion, just popped up, and for about 12 minutes, he spoke directly to the camera. No jokes, no characters, just Katt. He said, and multiple people screen recorded this before it was deleted, so this is verified. He said, I've been to places that would make you question reality. I've seen things in this industry that don't have explanations, and I've watched them take young black men, talented, gifted, powerful young black men, and bring back something that looks like them, sounds like them, but isn't them. Then he paused, looked directly into the camera.
I think the result of that, though, I don't think it's necessarily cloning. I don't know about the whole cloning thing. Like, when I look at the whole cloning thing, my thing is, if you clone somebody, right, my whole thing with that. If you end up cloning somebody, you got to understand what you're talking about with the soul. A body needs a soul, right? When God made man, he gave 3 counterparts to man, right? Flesh, spirit, and a soul. Those 3 things were needed in order for that body to function, right? So saying that someone is cloned defeats the natural order of God, what he created. I don't think we can oppose what the creator has created. So it's not necessarily that these people may have been cloned, but it may be that these people were letting demonic entities into them in order to operate, right? So now that they're like, when you look at different personalities like that, or alter egos, what people tend to call it in the Hollywood realm, it's just a demonic entity that's playing inside of this person, right? So if he comes back different like that, it might not necessarily be that he's cloned, but it might be that a demonic entity is in him that is now pushing forth this music. And so now it's where he once sounded like, oh yeah, you know, the streets. Now he sounds like the press, right? You see what I'm saying? So I don't think he's cloned. That's my opinion. But I do think that he's operating. I mean, he said it himself that he's operating with demons or something like that. Man, it was something crazy. I watched his interview. He said something crazy like that. But I ain't really never listened to his music like that before. Maybe like 1 or 2 songs. But yeah, he definitely said something about operating within demons. Like especially if you're a Christian, if you're a regular person, you probably don't care about that, right? That don't matter to you. But if you're a Christian and you can hear that and still listen to his music, you're not a Christian. I'm just tell you that right now. You're not a devout follower of God. You know, reevaluate your heart before the Lord says, "Depart from me, I never knew you, you worker of iniquity."
And said, Cantrell knows, or the thing that used to be Cantrell knows. The live ended. The video was deleted within the hour. Instagram claimed it was a terms of service violation, but thousands of people saw it.
So he did, okay. So that's the point I wanted to make. I was like, all of this seems like straws that she's pulling from Katt, but if he actually did say his name, then okay, I give her that.
The screen
or this person, that is probably AI.
Recording spread across Twitter and TikTok before those got taken down too. Now ask yourself, if this was just a crazy conspiracy theory from a comedian, why did they work so hard to erase it? Let me zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about YoungBoy. This isn't just about one rapper or one island or one comedian. Katt Williams has been telling us for over a decade that the entertainment industry operates on a level that the public doesn't see. A level where artists are assets, where talent is a commodity, where the person behind the music is disposable, but the brand is not. What if the reason the music industry can keep pumping out content at an impossible rate isn't because these artists are working harder? What if it's because the system has figured out how to keep the machine running, even when the original parts break down? YoungBoy is in jail, the music keeps coming. YoungBoy is on house arrest, the music keeps coming. YoungBoy is fighting a federal case, the music keeps coming. At some point, you have to stop and ask yourself, how? Katt Williams gave us the answer. We just didn't want to hear it. I want to leave you with something Katt said that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. He said, the truth doesn't need you to believe it. It's still the truth whether you accept it or not. I've made my peace with that. I say what I say, and time does the rest. Time did the rest with Diddy. Time did the rest with the industry secrets. And maybe, just maybe, time will do the rest with this. Until then, I'm just asking questions. And so is Katt. Like, subscribe, share.
Yeah, also, yeah, my final opinion, I kind of already gave it. Man, you know, I just say, like, as Christians and stuff, if you're a Christian watching this, just be praying for them. That's all you can really do. We got to pray for the people that's up there like that. You know, they especially getting into a hot position like that at such a young age, man, that goes straight to your head. And you want to maintain that. You don't want to lose that. So when it's a potential that you could lose that or something like that, you do something costly. You know what I mean? Or say, for instance, you're in the hood like he was, right? And you got the potential to make crazy music. They're going to take advantage of that. So just be praying. We got to stay on the wall as Christians, you know? So stay tuned for the next video. I appreciate it if you watch this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the next video. We're going to be trying to get the NASA one. But I'm low-key thinking about doing a video about Donald Trump. Just a message to all Christians and stuff like that. But y'all stay tuned. Until the next one.